Welcome. We are deliberating Vedic Mathematics syllabus. In this fourth session, we are deliberating the aspect of the reach of postgraduate Vedic Mathematics level, the perfection of intelligence of the postgraduate Vedic Mathematics is to be of the order of entering Anusandhan, Anveshan, Sopan, research domain. This reach of the research domain is of the order of the Brahma Rishi Ved Vyas path. Maharishi Ved Vyas path is the path of having the entire range of knowledge in a common pool and then organizing it as a single discipline. Maharishi Ved Vyas has organized Vedic knowledge as composed scriptures. The composed Vedic scriptures are in a speaking language. It is mathematics in a speaking language. Anusandhan Anveshan Sopan is the phase and stage when the intelligence field is to be parallel with the eternity domain. Eternity domain is designated as Brahman domain. The initiation of learning and the sequential learning through 4 years duration of high and higher secondary schools, 4 years duration of graduation, and 2 years duration of post-graduation is to be parallel with the organization format of our solar universe. The solar universe organization format becomes the transcendental values spreadsheet of Rig Veda Samhita. Postgraduate Vedic mathematics scholar is of perfection index parallel with the spreadsheet of the transcendental values of Rig Veda. Sakal Rig Veda Samhita is the source of scripture. The sequential learning at school level, followed by the college level and the university level, is to have the parallel growth index for the intelligence field as well. As such, the presumption is that the postgraduate Vedic mathematics scholar is of perfection of intelligence index, where the Ananda Sabrup Braham, feature of eternity, the blissful format of the existence phenomenon, lifespan as a blissful lifespan, is the feature which is of the consciousness base of the intelligence field. Here in this Anusandhan Anveshan Sopan It is going to be the Ananda Sabrup Braham, the eternity as a blissful phenomenon. Life as a blissful phenomenon is the feature, and it is this feature of the intelligence which is the feature of the consciousness base of the intelligence field. Therefore, the postgraduate Vedic mathematics sadhak will be of the index state where the intelligence field has a consciousness base. Once the sadhak with a consciousness base for the intelligence enters this Anusandhan Anveshan Sopan, then his intelligence field is fulfilled with the consciousness values, and the foundation of the intelligence is which goes parallel with the Brahma Rishi Ved Vyas path. The Brahma Rishi Ved Vyas path is the path of the 28 phases and stages of the eternity. These 28 phases and stages of eternity are preserved as 28 formulations, transcendental designations, names of Rishi Ved Vyas. Therefore, the exposure initiation for to be a blissful traveler of the pilgrimage along Brahma Rishi Ved Vyas path is going to be of the 28 phases, 28 sopans. These 28 phases are of the values, features, and formats of 28 designation names formulations. These 28 formulations, beginning with the first designation as Svet and the last designation being Krishna Dvaipayan, these 28 formulations are the preservation and reservation reservoir pools of the values and features of these 28 phases and stages of the eternity. Therefore, this sopan, this phase as such is going to be parallel with the format, features, and values of these 28 names, transcendental designations, formulations. These formulations are the composition, the word formulations of the Devanagari alphabet letters constituents. These 28 formulations being the Devanagari word formulations, as these formulations are availing the Devanagari alphabet letters, as such the initiation of unfolding decoding process of these formulation is to be parallel to the fivefold steps. The first step is that the formulation be sequentially chased as the letters being availed here for this composition. The letters be associated values, the transcendental code values, the placement values of these letters of Devanagari alphabet. Then at a second step, parallel to these transcendental code values are to be reached at the geometric formats parallel to the TCV values, which are of the range 1 to 9. These will provide the geometric formats of 1 space to 9 space. The third step will be that parallel to these dimensional spaces, there shall be a reach at the parallel dimensional bodies, and the dimensional bodies as domains are having a seal at their origin. So third step is that there shall be a reach at the origin fold of the dimensional bodies hypercubes. First step as of values, second step as of formats, and third steps as of the origin seals. The fourth step is going to be of having a transcendence at the origin being of higher dimensional order than that of the domain. Therefore, the fourth step will be to be parallel with the structural formats of the origin fold. The fifth step is going to be to have a transcendence at the origin fold, to have a reach at the base fold, which in fact is going to be origin of the origin. This brings us face to face with the origins compactification phenomenon. The whole range of origins are compactified at the seat of origin of the domain. It is this way that there is going to be unfolding process which will lead us to the Rishi Ved Vyas path of 28 steps as 28 phases and stages of transcendence phenomenon. This transcendence phenomenon is going to be of the format, features, and values of these 28 designations. Therefore, the sadhakas, the scholars, the Anusandhan Kshetra is going to take us to the phase and stage of a takeoff from Surya to the Dhruv. Surya, Sun, solar universe is of 6-space format. Dhruv is the origin of solar universe. Dhruv is of 7-space unity state format. Surya has 6 ank. Number value 6 is the value of the Surya. Number value 7 is the value of the Dhruv. This reach from Surya to Dhruv is a reach from value 6 to value 7. And this reach from value 6 to value 7 is a reach from 6 space to 7 space. This reach from 6 space to 7 space is a reach from the format of hypercube 6 to format of hypercube 7. This reach from the format of hypercube 6 to hypercube 7 is a reach from 6 space as domain to the origin of a 6 space. This reach from 6 space as domain to origin of 6 space is a reach from 6 space as a domain to 7 space as the origin of a 6 space. This amounts to a transition from 6 space as domain to 7 space as origin. We know 7 is the biggest prime value numeral of 10 place value system. Therefore, this reach from 6 space domain to 7 space as origin is going to be a transition from Shad Chakras format to Das Chakras format, which is going to be of 120-year cycle. It is this 120-year cycle of a resistance phenomenon within human frame which is parallel to 120 elements periodic table. Therefore, the Anusandhan Annovation Sopan is going to be of Maharishi Ved Vyas path, which is a, a eternity range of 28 phases, and the same is going to be of 120 basic elements range, parallel to which is going to be 120-year cycle. Once there is a transition from this from 6 Shad chakras format to this chakras format, we will be having 9 numerals range for the 10 place value system, and 9 numerals range of 10 place value system will lead us to first to the ninth vowel. It is going to be the range of the dimensional frames. So 1 space to 9 space will provide us the dimensional frames of -1 order to 7 order. So there is going to be a sequential transition from the dimensional frame to dimension of dimensions. It is this transition from dimension to dimension of dimension and sequential chase is going to be the ultimate transition phenomenon of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe, and it is this transition phenomenon, transcendental phenomenon of our solar universe, which is the trimurti organization and sustenance of our triloki. Therefore, the Anusandhan Annovation Sopan is going to be the phase and stage of the intelligence field along the consciousness base, which shall be leading us from the domain of pure values to the domain of applied values parallel to the pure values domain itself. It is this reach of parallel values, parallel applied values domain to the pure values domain, which is to be taken as the attainment of the Vedic mathematics. The Vedic mathematics attainment is going to be the end of route where the Vedic mathematics will take from pure values domain of eternity of 1 space to 9 space to parallel applied values domain. Once we will be parallel with the pure values domain, and once the applied values domain is of index of the pure values domain, then the existence phenomenon can be said to be of the Ananda Savarup Braham. It is this blissful lifespan of the existence phenomenon of all of us, which is the end fruit value of Vedic mathematics learning. Vedic mathematics learning and teaching is to be of such foundations that as end fruit of this learning and teaching is to bring us face to face with applied values domain parallel to pure values domain, and the existence phenomenon within human frame is to be of 1 year cycle parallel to 120 years, 120 basic elements of the existence phenomenon of the solar universe itself. It is this phenomenon which is chased by Vedic systems as Chaturyug unit. This Chaturyug unit is of 12,000 revolutions of Earth around the Sun, which would mean that Chaturyug unit, Kal Vidhi Vidhan, is of 12,000 cycles of Earth around the Sun. In other words, it is going to be 12,000 human years timeline as a unit. The format of this unit is the organization structural format of this unit is of quadruple steps parallel to a single axis, pair of axis, triple axis, and quadruple axis setup. The single axis setup of the interval format as a raised to power 1 is to 2, b raised to power 0 is going to be a length within a pair of endpoints. So it takes us to a format of values 100, 1000, and 100, then 200, 2000, 200, 300, 3300, 4400, and 4000, together making it to be 12,000 unit. It is this 12,000 value as a unit is being availed for the pole star 7 space hypercube 7 reach. Hypercube 7 is the representative regular body of 7 space in creator space, a 4 space. Hypercube 7 has domain boundary ratio as a raised to power 7 into 14 b raised to power 4, b raised to power 6. As such, this value 12,000 as it is making us a 1 Chaturyug. If we have 1,000 Chaturyug and if we divide value 1,000 by 14, then it will be leading us to the timeline of 1 Manvantar, means 1 component of unity state domain within a self-referral boundary of 14 components. So one self-referral component, one of the 14 self-referral components will be of timeline duration of 1000 over 14, which makes us 71 full units, and 6 over 14 as the quarter of a unit. Now it is this timeline which is of the geometric format of Chaturyug as a time unit. Therefore, the Anusandhan Anveshan Sopan is going to be a chase of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe as a self-referral boundary of 14 components of pole star. So the space around the pole star is the space which is chased by the Vedic systems as a self-referral boundary, means 6 space is a boundary and of 14 components. Therefore, 14 hypercube 6 bodies together are synthesizing the space of the pole star. Therefore, during this Anusandhan Anveshan Sopan, the Vedic mathematics scholars, postgraduate scholars of Vedic mathematics will be entering Anusandhan Anveshan Sopan and will be chasing the space, self-referential space of 14 components of the pole star. Once there is going to be a full chase, full analysis, full research of the entire space around the pole star, then we can be blissful. We will have a blissful state as there is going to be a blissful lifespan of 120 years cycle. And this phenomenon, this feature will lead us to the format, and this format is going to be the format of a sequential reach from the first perfect number 6 to second perfect number 28, which as a system will take to the third perfect number and the fourth perfect number. We can have a pass here and have a glance at the format features and values of these perfect numbers as value 6, permitting us 3 proper divisors with 3 as the biggest prime proper divisor. The total divisors are 4, and second perfect number 28 is having 7 as the biggest prime proper divisors. There are only 5 proper divisors, but the total divisors are 6. The third perfect number is having 31 as the biggest proper prime divisor. The total prime proper divisors are 9, while the total divisors are 10. For the fourth perfect number, the biggest prime proper divisor is 127. Total number of the proper divisors are 13. Total divisors are 14. Now, if we have a glimpse of the product of the total divisors of first perfect number, it leads to value 6 square. The total divisors product of the second perfect number leads us to 28.3, means the cube of the value. The product of the total factors of third perfect number leads us to 496 raised to power 5, and we will see that the product of the total 14 divisors of the perfect number, fourth perfect number, is 7th power of this number. So we see the 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the first quadruple primes. Therefore, the Vedic systems are fully exploiting, and the Vedic systems are completely parallel with the availability of the entire format features of artifices of numbers organized as 10 place value system, availing 9 numerals along the creative format of the transcendental domain of 10 components, while each creative component being a 4-space body, being hypercube 4, has 9 versions. So the 9 versions of the creative boundary component lead to the geometric format for 9 numerals, and the creative boundary of 10 components of the transcendental domain leads to the 10 place value format. It is in this background that we can ensure, and we will be blissful, that the entire solar universe is permitting complete, exhaustive sweeping in terms of 960 cubes, the solid boundary components of the creative domain. It is this reach which gives us a bliss that the postgraduate Vedic mathematics scholars, while will be initiated and have an exposure to the Anveshan Anusandhan Sopan of Rishi Ved Vyas path, they will bring the whole bliss of the applied values parallel to the pure values, which will ensure blissful lifespan of 120 years for each one of us. It is this bliss which blissfully inspires us to be exponents of Vedic mathematics syllabus of sequential learning foundation for 4 years schooling, sequentially being of 3 space, 4 space, 5 space, and 6 space, which foundation will take to the graduation course of 4 years of the order of triloki being sustained by trimurti and the perfection of the intelligence of the graduate Vedic mathematics scholars will put them parallel with the transcendental features spreadsheet of the order of Sakal Rigved Samhita and the consciousness base attained for the intelligence by the postgraduate Vedic mathematics scholars will have blissful entry into Ansandhan Anveshan Sopan of Rishi Ved Vyas path, and we will have all the bliss. Thank you very much.